Hello indie game fans, the narrative adventure game takes many forms, including visual novels, choose your own adventure, and classic point-and-click titles, so let's begin with stories from Soul the Gun Dog, a game that is pretty much all art style, since the throwback anime visuals as well as the graphics that are inspired by PC 9800 titles sure look awesome, and has you attempting to save the ship from an unknown assailant that may even be from within your own ranks. Stickers and cozy / adventure games do go hand in hand, with a wonderful looking title being Pilo and the Holobook, one in which you play as this fox character who can use the Holobook to turn everything into stickers, and then to use these to create an encyclopedia of the new world. The sci-fi setting is neat, as are the gorgeous visuals and looks very pleasant. This video is brought to you by the Lullaby of Life, a vibrant and colourful puzzle adventure game in which you solve timing-based puzzles and create harmonious sounds. It simply looks like a delight, looking very immersive and tranquil. It is inspired by the origins of the universe itself, where you are playing as a particle named Bombo that can play musical notes in the form of sound waves, using these to match sequences of different colours and symbols. Along the way, you will be able to awaken new companions, inject life into previously inert beings, and to be the catalyst of life itself, all while enjoying the artistic blend of music, animations, and colours. So if interested, you can play the demo on Steam and wishlist the game now, and will also be coming to Xbox and Switch. I absolutely love the look and concept of Dead Horizon being a space western title set on the frontier of a barren desert world. Our heroine is a former murderous gunslinger who has put that behind her and is attempting to make a living as a carnival act, but of course gets wrapped up in a larger mission of attempting to bring free water to the land. Most interestingly, in addition to classic point-and-click adventure gameplay, this has a point-and-click rail shooter element, so think of an arcade light gun game, which I'm assuming is point-and-click as well, and simply looks fantastic. I have a number of detective mystery titles of all forms in this video, one of which is Tales from Centropolis, in which our hero is wrapped up in the mystery surrounding murder, industrial espionage, and a missing girl. Oh, and did I mention that the main character is a robot? Well, not exactly, since it's a human brain in a motorized contraption in which another human constructed a body for it, so there's another central mystery surrounding the human brain's identity. So it's mysteries all the way down, with the dystopian city of Centropolis being the perfect backdrop for the game.
Aboard the Royce Express, where my guests indulge in luxury travel, fine dining, and murder!
I was absolutely stunned when I came across Loco Motive, since this pixel art game looks awesome, having a setup similar to Murder on the Orient Express, in which a murder has been committed and the three main characters are the prime suspects in this case. Interestingly, you play as the suspects instead of the detective, having to find ways to prove your own innocence, with the game looking to have a healthy dose of humour as well and should be good fun.
Just nuts.
There are a number of shopkeeping simulator titles in the vein of games like Valhalla and Coffee Talk, in which you're doing something like serving alcohol or coffee to your customers, but the highlight is not in the preparation of food, but rather getting to know your customers, with Midnight Ramen being one such game of interest. This has you running a ramen stand and having to prepare food for your customers, talking to and getting to know them and their troubles, and attempting to help where you can. It looks pleasant, so if you love this type of game, this is one to watch. Here's a pretty wild looking detective adventure game titled Space Boat, in which our feline detective is attempting to stop a shape-shifting jewel thief on board an intergalactic cruise ship with, curiously, an array of carpet-based lifeforms. I have no idea what that means, but it sure looks unique, but honestly, I have no idea how this will turn out.
In space!
I've had this title on my watch list for quite a while since, if I'm remembering correctly, The Silent Kingdom went on Kickstarter twice, since the first attempt was unsuccessful, but after tweaks were made, the second crossed the finish line. Interestingly, this self-describes as a dark fantasy otome JRPG, and while there are turn-based combat elements, the focus seems to be on the characters and the choices you make. You play as a princess who must corrupt her own soul in order to save the kingdom, looking like a high-stakes, intense experience.
Okay, I have a problem with small talk.
Here's a gorgeous hand-drawn point-and-click adventure game named Leila, which has you delving into the mind of our protagonist and experiencing the different phases of her life. You get to see and experience her past through 4 decades of memories, learning about the choices that she made and the consequences of those actions. The art style and animations here really are the highlight and simply looks gorgeous, and even has some interesting composition and scale used in the game, such as the scene resembling a storybook, or one in which your character is gigantic as compared to the room she is in. There is, however, a stinger at the end of the trailer that you have to see for yourself, and it does look quite intriguing, and if you love the animations, there will be cinematics at the end of each chapter as well, and might have more resemblance to a short film.
Just to remember how eye-catching I was. Wait, what?
This will be out in the middle of 2024 on Steam, followed by Switch and Xbox, so if interested, play the demo on Steam and wishlist the game via the link in the description below. I have no idea what to expect from this game since Dome-King Cabbage has a very interesting visual style that looks like it was made out of real-world materials and then somehow captured and imported that into a game, in which this self-styled visual novel in a monster collecting RPG sure is unique. This is another game that I'm not really sure what is even going on, but for how weird and unique it is, this gets a spot.
Space was my second home. My work that mattered. I was the hero. For my nation. For my family. That mission was different. Everything I loved was gone.
First-person space adventure games have a very high bar since they will be compared to Outer Wilds, in which Moon Mystery looks like it has potential. This is a first-person title and has first-person shooter combat, so maybe I should have put it in the upcoming FPS games video instead, but I always saw this as a narrative-first title, since the setup is that the moon is haunted and you need to figure out why. This is not a horror game as far as I can tell, and does have a very compelling mystery as the hook, so if interested, do wishlist this game as well.
My name is Sam Walker, and I want my life back.
The world ended on a sunny day. Boys and girls surfing in the bay.
Developer Demagogue Studios have made a number of games set in a post-apocalyptic Earth in which the rich have fled to Mars and are taking trips back to Earth to play golf. But of course, there are still some people left behind, in which Highwater tells a tale of 4 friends and their attempt at escape. The world is flooded, so traversal looks interesting, since you're exploring this flooded city and trying to find a way to sneak aboard a rocket leaving for Mars. Not shown in this trailer is turn-based tactical combat, so it is not a pure adventure game, but it looks like it has an interesting story to tell.
The world ended on a sunny day. Boys and girls surfing in.
This next title is quite the mouthful since completely fictional story about a city inside a whale is a lot of words, but there's something to this exploration adventure game in which you are the captain of a wind-up boat in the titular location. If you enjoyed Dredge from 2023 but don't want the cosmic horror aspect, this might be of interest, although I don't know how safe the stomach of a whale will end up being, but it looks pretty pleasant.
He saw something he wasn't meant to see.
You've got to break the cycle! I can't! Please!
So, they killed him. But like the others, he came back.
A long-in-development title from the unlikeliest of sources is The Drifter, coming to us from the developer of the co-op/competitive multiplayer dungeon crawler named Crawl, in which this is a time loop thriller in which you play as a vagabond who is murdered but is suddenly alive again seconds before his death, having to figure out what is going on, and it looks like it has a great central mystery.
If you did.
Developer Celery Emblem has made some of the weirdest and most bizarre games, such as Baobab's Mausoleum and Nosferatu, in which I distinctly remember this from that game. And yes, those were screams, so while not mainstream popular, I do think that there's some merit to their games. With Tamarindos' Freaking Dinner looking pretty intriguing, this is a first-person horror sitcom in which you play as a pizza boy who has to deliver dinner to the mansion, but surprise surprise, dinner is not the pie, but you instead. It has a time loop structure with multiple endings, so it might resemble the Sexy Brutale in some ways, and while the trailer does drop frames in some places, I don't think that it will be indicative of the final quality of the game. If you're into sci-fi, I'm pretty sure that Minds Beneath Us will be one of interest, a game that is set in a futuristic Asian city but stops short of calling itself cyberpunk, where the setting might be taking inspiration from places like Hong Kong or Taiwan. In this world, society has become fully automated due to AI, and there is now a neural interface to link human brains to the internet, in which our protagonist and a data ghost which lives in his head must unravel a grand conspiracy. There are elements of horror or thriller in this, with the humans transforming into something monstrous and thus have a very pretty look as well. Some of you might not be aware of developer Cotton Game, which is based out of Shanghai, but if you love adventure games, you should become acquainted with their work since their titles are pretty good, in which Sunset Hills is one of their major upcoming releases. If you look up their releases on Steam, you will notice a similarity in art style across titles like the Isoland or Mr. Pumpkin games, which I thought was their signature look, so I think they're taking a bigger swing with this game. While it looks cozy, you play as a veteran soldier discharged from the army after war, who then decides to take a trip around the world on a train. For now, it says that it does not have English language support, but their other games do, so I'm guessing that that will eventually be the case for this game as well. A neat-looking puzzle-adventure game is Koira, in which our protagonist and a dog adventure across a snowy landscape, escaping from danger and moving onwards in search of a better life. Puzzles form the main bulk of the game, and are supposed to have some musical elements as well, and looks like a good game in the space. Just a quick one here in Tormentum II, a point-and-click or hidden object title that is the sequel to a game from 2015, coming to us from, I believe, a 3-person team out of Poland, in which the original was very well received, so hopefully this is as well. The developers have been rather quiet, and the users in the Steam forums are not taking it well, but as far as I know, this is still in development, so maybe we will see it soon. Dinosaur fans, this game is for you, since Theropods is a classic point-and-click adventure game set, perhaps historically inaccurately, in the time of dinosaurs, but where humans are around. A yellow rock has fallen from the sky, which has attracted evil and also has a dose of sci-fi since something else has also fallen out of the sky and requires the rock to get back home. I absolutely love the pixel art in this game, both in the environments as well as characters, so if you want a throwback experience, this is one to watch. I last covered Death of the Reprobate during the most recent Steam Next Festival since it had a playable demo which appears to have been taken down already, but this is a humorous point-and-click adventure game that uses Renaissance paintings as the art style. If you have not come across this developer before, Joe Richardson has been doing this for quite a number of years, with his other games 4 Last Things and The Procession to Calvary being similar, where the sheer absurdity of the situations that the characters wind up in these games were a hoot, so I expect more of the same from this game. This next title is of interest since it comes to us from Amanita Design, a developer that specializes in adventure games and has made classics like Machinarium and Summerost, as well as more recently, Chucho and Creeks, so their next game, Phonopolis, is of note. Set in a city that is about to be taken over by an authoritarian regime, our hero must attempt to stop their leader once and for all, having an amazing art style and is of note. Trash Goblin went to Kickstarter and had a successful campaign that concluded in January 2024, which raised over £94,000, in which this wholesome shopkeeping simulator title seems popular and has a demo that you can try. You play as said goblin who gathers and cleans trash using a variety of tools to clean the trinkets and then to upcycle and to sell the items. There's a whole management sim aspect of using the money earned to buy better tools and to expand the business across town, with the developers themselves stating that this is Power Wash Simulator for the RPG crowd. But I have no idea what that means, since while the cleaning of trinkets looks fun, it doesn't have the same effect on me as that power washing game, but I do still think that this looks great. The original Sucker for Love, subtitled First Date, was a surprisingly successful horror visual novel in which you were trying to win the affections of eldritch horrors, including an anime Cthulhu girl, with the sequel Sucker for Love, Date to Die For leaning a little bit more in the horror direction. You are attempting to escape the Black Woods and to avoid cultists, but do also have a new dateable entity. The throwback 90s anime cutscenes and the filter used are awesome, and was supposed to be a Valentine's Day release, so I'm guessing it will still release sometime in 2024. Developer Elden Pixels made the Elwa series of puzzle Metroidvanias which are great, in which they have turned their attention to Avoid Hope, a narrative platformer with some horror elements as a tormented couple attempts to find a cure for a collapsed city. There are all sorts of horrible things lurking in the dark that can kill you, so you need to be smart to avoid them, and while you do have some weapons to deal with them, avoidance and running away seems to be the better play. It might be more survival horror-y, but I think that it fits more in the adventure game category, with the best part being that it's out next week, so definitely keep an eye on this.
Let me guess. You're the cleric.
I want to thank the developers of the narrative CRPG Sovereign Syndicate for putting me onto this game, in which Esoteric Ebb is another narrative RPG but set in a fantasy world reminiscent of tabletop RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons. In fact, this looks to be following in the footsteps of Disco Elysium, but has more dice rolls and combat, as well as a good art style. You play as a cleric, who has to unravel a political conspiracy with the help of a goblin companion by your side, and looks very promising. I love the look of The Guardian of Nature, in which this puzzle exploration title has you playing as a botanist with the goal of saving the mother tree. Our hero has the ability to change his size at will, which I'm sure will feed into the puzzles, but my god, this looks absolutely gorgeous.
Tell me, what is it you want out of life? Fortune, glory, the thrill of adventure? I'm offering you a chance at all three. You just need to do me one small favour.
This next title is of note since it comes to us from a developer-publisher combo that both specialise in adventure games, in which Grandislav Games is best known for Lamplight City, with the western-themed Rosewater being their next game. Our protagonist and her ragtag band of characters adventure across the Wild West in search of fame and fortune, having the very classic animation and art style that looks great. It also has classic point-and-click adventure gameplay, such as having an inventory system to collect, combine and use key items to solve puzzles, and looks like an awesome, classically designed game.
This place gives me the creeps.
Developer SFB Games is a curious one, since they have two games simultaneously in development, in between the survival horror title Crow Country, which I covered in my horror games video, as well as The Mermaid's Tongue, which stars characters from Tangled Tower from 2019, which has almost 4,000 Steam reviews, so it is very popular. It's a detective adventure game in which the captain of a submarine has been killed, so you need to figure out what happened, and based on the pedigree, this should be a good game. Here's a spooky customer simulation visual novel narrative game named Under the Counter, one that has supernatural elements in which you run a bar in a local market, serving food and moonshine to the locals as well as demons. It is set during World War I in a nondescript Eastern European city, which has been occupied by the enemy, but the enemy soldiers have taken a liking to you and your establishment, which makes you the perfect candidate to be a double agent, gathering information and helping the resistance in any way you can. You do still have to pay rent and survive, and that is on top of the day-to-day simulation aspects of serving food and drink, and then comes the demons, so whatever this is, I'm definitely interested in it. Here's another gorgeous looking adventure game titled Last Time I Saw You, telling a touching coming-of-age story from the perspective of a young boy as he searches for a girl that haunts his dreams. There is a dark forest on the outskirts of town that he is drawn to, as well as Japanese mythological creatures, with the town being cursed as well, so there's something strange going on. It is not a horror game however, but might be more on the mystical end of things, with parts of this reminding me of animated movies like Weathering with You, so I have a pretty good feeling about this one.
Existing only in memories is such a cold experience. But every time
there are a number of long-in-development adventure and visual novel games in this video, in which Read Only Memories Neurodiver is a hotly anticipated sequel to 2064 Read Only Memories, which released in 2015. So it has been a while, in which the Steam forums are full of people asking for news about the game. There's a reply from the developer from February 2023, who confirms that they are still working on the game, so it is not cancelled and should see the light of day. You play as a psychic detective hunting down an entity hiding in the memories of others and repairing the damage caused along the way, having an awesome pixel art look as well as the vibrant sci-fi setting of New San Francisco, so here's to a little bit more waiting for this one.
Welcome to the new world.
Similarly, another sequel of interest is Cyber Manhunt New World, the follow-up to Cyber Manhunt from 2021, being a narrative puzzle game centered around the larger themes of big data, hacking, privacy, and social issues. You play as an AI assistant in a major corporation, having to use intricate social engineering tactics to get the information that you want. The best way to be aware of these tactics used against you is to learn about them, so there might be some truth to the game and is very relevant in this new age of AI and increasing scams in real life. One of the most anticipated new customer-focused simulation titles is Tavern Talk. So if you refer to Coffee Talk and put 2 and 2 together, you can probably guess what kind of game this is. You are running a tavern and mixing and serving magical drinks to your patrons, talking to them, giving advice and helping them along the way, which will influence the shape of the world. This had a stupidly successful Kickstarter campaign, raising 156,000 euros, which was almost 8 times their target, so the team should have plenty of runway to make a great game. From the developer of Genesis Noir comes Nirvana Noir, another adventure game set beyond time and space, and sees the return of the art style of the first game, which definitely makes it stand out. In the original, you played as a cosmic being named No Man, who is a watch seller, caught in a love triangle with 2 other cosmic beings, in which a jealous god fires a gun that kills your lover, an act also known as the Big Bang, leading to a sequence of events of the first game. However, the sequel takes place in a parallel reality in which the Big Bang was never fired, resulting in the world exploding in colour and sin, which is visually quite different as compared to the first game, in which you have to solve the mysteries of the bigger bang instead and looks awesome.
So, why do you want to travel into the past so badly?
I just want to see her again. One more time.
I need to find out what happened to my father. It's haunted me all my life.
I messed up. So bad. I need to go back and set it right.
Developer Wadjet Eye Games is the go-to developer for classic-looking point-and-click adventure games, but they have added modern spins on the concept, such as in Unavowed from 2018, with their next game being titled Old Skies. It's a time-traveling adventure in which our heroine is a time agent who takes 7 trips through time, accompanying and keeping watch on travelers who paid to visit the past. The temporal nature of time travel means the potential for mind-bending puzzles and an interesting narrative in which you can die in this adventure game, but the time travel aspect gives you an out, so while it looks like the classics, the fresh ideas here are certainly of interest. This next title got attention since it is being published by Panic, best known for Untitled Goose Game, in which Thank Goodness You're Here looks to be an equally whimsical comedic adventure game with an awesome art style. It is set in a bizarre northern English town in which you play as a travelling salesman who is given a series of increasingly strange odd jobs to complete by the locals, where every task finished opens up more areas of the town and causes time to tick closer to the salesman's big meeting and looks amazing. A fantastic looking adventure exploration game is Ghost Bike, which is an Annapurna published game and interestingly comes to us from developer Messhoff, who is best known for Nidhogg, so this is certainly a departure but a welcomed one since it looks awesome. Our hero is attempting to revive the last of the Ghost Bikes, magical couriers who ride between the worlds of the living and the dead, in which you're exploring this semi-open world, completing challenges on your bike, racing, maintaining it and more, and it's just fascinating to me given the developer.
My own direction, endlessly.
Here's another long development title named Nirvana Cyberpunk Bartender Action, the follow-up to the critically acclaimed Valhalla from 2016, so like read-only memories, it has been a while. The original game was the title that kicked off the whole customer management subgenre that you see so many examples of in this video, where you were mixing drinks in a cyberpunk setting, with the sequel being set on a resort island bar and looks to have a cast of interesting characters as well. The developer is active on Twitter and has been retweeting stuff, so I believe this is still being worked on, so fingers crossed it releases someday.
Wake up, sleeper.
One of the runaway successes of 2022 is the original Citizen Sleeper, essentially a digital tabletop RPG, but not in the vein of Dungeons & Dragons, in which you play as an escaped worker on the edge of society on a lawless space station. The sequel, Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector, also has you playing as an escaped android with a price on your head, in which you now need to get a ship, find a crew, and just keep running, but is of note due to how well received the first game was. If you want more, I've made a video on upcoming wholesome games which have some crossover with adventure games, so you can check it out here.
Opportunity, sleeper. Desperate.